Yeah, welcome into the Friday edition. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Robby Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. Hope everybody's off to a great start to their day today. We got a lot going on the program today. Charles Robinson will be with us at 7:30. We will get into all things Titans and NFL with him. TD with us at 8 o'clock. Weekend winners at 8:30. We got a rant at 6:45. We got a lot of stuff going on the program here today. Joe Rexrode, happy Friday to you. Good morning. What's going on?
Happy Friday. Not much. Good needed win for the Preds there that you covered last night.
Yes. They fell behind 2-1 in the third period, and it was like, well, are they about to lose to the Chicago Blackhawks to start this thing out? And that would not have been good. So a couple of big goals, Matthew Wood, Ryan O'Reilly, and then Stamkos added an empty netter there. But nice win for the Predators, at least from the result standpoint. It was an extremely sloppy hockey game, which I guess is to be expected for the first game after the 3-week break. Very sloppy.
Yeah, exactly. You expect that. Even though there's desperation out there, like for a team like the Preds, but you got to expect that it might take a little bit of time to get some things sharpened up. You find a way to win. That's what matters. I enjoyed Alex Doherty's tweet about, you wouldn't know.
I wouldn't know.
Let me tell you about this tweet. It was a funny tweet. It was like Forsberg still mad at the Swedish coach after he scored his goal. It was pretty good.
Yeah, we were talking about that last night in the press room. It's like halfway thinking about going in the locker room after the game. It's like, so Philip, who do you like more, Andrew Burnett or Sam Hallam? Let's spell it out here together. So
if other fans want to taunt him, they should just be like Hallam.
Get one of those fat heads of Sam Hallam up there. Yeah,
there you go.
Very interesting, but good win for the Predators. And then they got a heck of a test coming up this weekend on the road against the Dallas Stars. So we'll see how they respond to that. Ian Safar, how we doing? What's going on?
Good morning. I'm doing just fine, thanks. Nothing too crazy to report out there. A little cooler. It's one of those days where you got the little bit of dew on the windows. Just give yourself a couple minutes to defog yourself there. But yeah, stayed up, watched the end of the game, hockey game. But that was about it. Thanks. Happy Friday, everybody.
Yeah, it's it's going to be a sprint towards the end here for the Predators. So Saturday, Monday, Tuesday is the next schedule coming up. You got on the road Saturday, home on the afternoon on Monday, and then back on the road on Tuesdays. That's basically what it's going to be for the Predators for the rest of the year here. So we'll see what that looks like. By the way, LA got destroyed last night by the Oilers, and the Predators leapfrogged them in the standings.
Yes, 8-1.
8-1. They just got absolutely massacred last night. So not going well for LA in the two games to open up since the break. Predators are 2 points behind Seattle for the final wild card spot, Joe. Dead even in games played. 2 points back.
Very interesting. And making it interesting. And I'll tell you what, think back a few months. We would not have guessed that would happen. Even though we've seen it before, I would not have guessed that this team would have made it this interesting.
You're telling me there's a chance.
Yes.
There you go. And also, boy, LA, they must really love the Olympics.
Yep. Now, they could also, elect to play some defense at some point. Kevin Fiala didn't do a whole lot of that. So play a little defense. Be nice at some point.
But if you're playing offense, you don't have to play defense.
That's true. That is true. So, Joe, to end our show yesterday, and when I say to end our show, I mean in the last 15 seconds of our show yesterday, Tavondre Sweat was traded from the Tennessee Titans to the New York Jets in exchange for Jermaine Johnson, long enough for us to say, hey, look, Tavondre Sweat got traded. We'll see you in the morning. So obviously there's been almost a full day at this point for people to react to that. But, Joe, we haven't really gotten your thoughts or my thoughts on this yet because, of course, that's how the timing of things worked out yesterday. So, Joe, your thoughts now that you've had 21 hours to think about it on Tavondre Sweat being traded from the Titans to the Jets in exchange for Jermaine Johnson.
I guess we shouldn't complain. Like a lot of these things happen right after, so there's not even anything, right? Like at least we conveyed the information.
It's true.
Right? You look at it that way.
Making progress.
You do have to wonder sometimes, like Borgon's like, these radio idiots, I'll wait until that show's over, then we'll make the deal. Like
I really don't like the voices they do about me and my owner.
But no, I think it's I like it a lot. Yeah, I was a big Devondre Sweat guy when they drafted him. Because again, his last year at Texas, it was just like, oh my gosh, if this guy figures it out, man, like he's very talented. Again, the agility for his size, there's no question. I mean, he's a talent, and also to me, there's no question that he has not maximized himself here, and that's concerning. So there was all this talk about he was going to, like work out with Jeff Simmons this offseason and things like that. But then you throw in the scheme, which we've talked about. And again, I never buy like zero chance of a scheme fit, because it's just like, if that's the case, you're too rigid as a coach. But Saleh did talk pretty extensively this week about the sideline to sideline expectations for D linemen. And it's like sideline to sideline. How about like, between the hashes? Is that okay? How about like making it from left guard to right guard? Like what? It just didn't seem like it was going to be a great fit unless Sweat came back kind of a changed man. And now we'll see, how that works out for him with the Jets. I've seen some interesting discourse. Some Jets fans think they got the better of this deal, but I just. Obviously, Jermaine Johnson did not have a great year last year. He was off the Achilles, but we see this. We talk about it. We've seen it before. The next year after the Achilles, for a lot of time, especially guys who are young, as he is, usually you see closer to return to form. And if that's the case, if he can play the way he played in 24, that's a heck of a football player. And that's a player who's going to be on the field a lot for the Tennessee Titans. And it takes care of it takes care of one side there, even if it's not going to be, you're not talking about a double-digit sack guy necessarily, but you're talking about a guy who does everything well.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, he's played for Robert Saleh, so there's a comfortability there for Robert Saleh that immediately stands out when you're talking about this trade. You go back to 2023, Jermaine Johnson had 7.5 sacks. He was a Pro Bowler that year. Now, I don't know what that means in the National Football League anymore, but he was a Pro Bowler that year. And again, you're talking about the Achilles injury. You have last year coming back from that, and then this next season with the Titans will be that second year off of that. So what does that look like in terms of how explosive he looks, the production? You think back to last year on that horrible Jets defense, Joe. He played 14 games. He had 3 sacks. The production wasn't the same, obviously, as it was back in 2023 when he had that big year. Obviously some of that's him. How much of that is that awful defense who, as we've pointed out a couple of times, Joe, also somehow found a way to not intercept the football from week 1 through 17, which is borderline impossible to do in the NFL. So it's the Jets. It's bad stuff going on. But at age 27, coming in with a coach that you've obviously worked with before and had some success with, what does that look like for Jermaine Johnson this year? Look, I'll put it to you this way. When I started to think about Devondre Sweat and what the future was going to look like here, I'm with you. It didn't seem like it was going to work out great for the Titans. And if you're talking about trading him for a draft pick, I mean, what are you getting for Devondre Sweat at this point based on what we've seen? Like a 5th, a 6th, maybe somewhere in that neighborhood? So to get Jermaine Johnson straight up out of it, I like that deal. Like, I'll take that risk, and I'll make that trade if I'm Mike Borgonzi, to move on from obviously a guy he did not draft, and we've talked about that. Like, they have certainly cleared out some players that they did not draft in this organization, but to do it with a guy that's still, relatively young, but has experience at a position that frankly is just more important. Like, I like that deal.
Yeah, exactly. You don't see the 1-for-1 player deal a ton. It's hard to get that to where both sides feel good about it. Usually, or at least there's like some kind of pick going one way or whatever, a salary or what. It's just straight up player for player, and I like it. And look, you can see the Jet side on this. if you're the Jets, you didn't, it wasn't great last year with this guy. There are reasons. There are reasons around him. There's reasons physically, and you can look at Devondre Sweat, and you can absolutely be, you can be tantalized by the possibility. I must say, we rarely get a chance to shame, our cohorts on other shows. But I must say that D-May said that Devondre Sweat was excellent the past 2 years yesterday, and I almost ran the car off the road. So I would disagree with that assessment. I don't think he's been excellent or anything close to excellent. I think he's flashed at times.
Yeah.
And that's where, if you're the Jets, you can see again, can he get into, even in whatever different defenses, like you have to be able to play more snaps at a higher level. That's what I think happened is last year you could see, or really I think both years, you could see him wear down at times and too quickly. And Jets are going to need a lot more than that, I would say.
So Devondre Sweat traded from the Titans to the Jets in exchange for Jermaine Johnson. We'll take your thoughts on that deal. Plus, what does it mean in terms of what the strategy is going to be for the Titans when it comes to the draft? What does it mean for Femi Oladejo and his role next year? We'll get into all that coming up next as well. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, live from our Busy V Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville studios. Home with the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. T'Vondre Sweat traded from the Titans to the Jets. Jermaine Johnson coming back in the other way from the deal from the Titans. Taking your thoughts on that. So what does this mean for what the draft strategy is going to look like? What does this mean for Femi Oladejo, Joe, who we've talked about, second-round pick from a year ago? You'd hope that he's going to take a big step from year 1 to year 2 and be a part of this thing moving forward here. And Jermaine Johnson, I don't think, now that you have him, Joe, makes, edge rusher or, David Bailey or Arvell Reese, undraftable at number 4. Like, it's still, to me, a need there. So it doesn't change anything from that perspective. Now, you need definitely now, Joe, some more help at defensive tackle. You're not doing that at number 4, but we'll see what that looks like for the Titans this offseason here. So how do you think this move affects the strategy of what we could see this offseason from Mike Borgonzi when it comes to what else they're going to do at edge rusher?
Yeah, I don't look at this at all as like, oh, now it's more likely they draft a receiver or whatever. I don't agree with that. You need difference makers, and you need someone who's a double-digit sack. Again, that's not really going to be Jermaine. Like, it's not the same player, but I almost look at him in a way like a Danico Autry, like he physical. Everything tells you that he sets the edge extremely well. Again, he's an every down player and all that stuff. Now, Autry also, a little more juice as a pass rusher, right? But I'm just saying, that sort of guy where it's like any situation it works, and you just know you can move the guy around a little bit, stuff like that. It means they have, they're building some depth. It might affect free agency. Maybe they don't go out and try to grab someone for a veteran for depth now at that position. But yeah, to me, there's every bit as much need for the young, big time pass rushing monster if you can get that person. Some people can disagree with me. This is a good. Now, of course, you also Robby, you have to address the interior a little bit more too. You do have that. So that's I guess you add that to the list of needs, and maybe that is something now more pursued in free agency.
Yeah, for sure. The Oladejo part of it doesn't change it a whole lot for me, because I did want Femi Oladejo certainly starting next year based on what we've seen to this point. Now, if he can work himself to a point where you have the conversation of, yeah, he should probably be out there more, well, that would be nice. But at this point, I'm kind of expecting Oladejo to be part of the rotation with, I guess, now Johnson and whoever they draft. And look, this is the luxury, Joe, of having the cap space that they do. They could still technically go add another rusher in free agency, I guess, if they want to. Now, I don't know if it's the best allocation of resources given all the other needs that they got, but we'll see. It gives you some flexibility as to what to do there. But I go back to Saleh earlier this week when it comes, he was talking about Sweat, and I guess the phrase that sticks out, 2 days later, now that they've traded him, was, it's going to be hard, right? Like what he says, it's going to be hard for T'Vondre Sweat. And I guess that's a little foreshadowing into what we saw a couple of days later. One thing he talked about with Oladejo was, the traits that he does have, that he feels good about, and he scouted him as a 4-3 end, not just the 3-4 fit that we talked about earlier this week. So all that's good. But clearly, Saleh, pretty comfortable with Johnson here. It's not a coincidence that that's the guy that they went out and got in exchange for T'Vondre Sweat. So, the Oladejo part of it's going to be interesting, but I still, it doesn't change my thought on it one bit about edge rusher in the draft. I still think that's definitely going to be in play for them. And it's not a guarantee, right? Like I've said that earlier this week. Like I'm not moving off the Titans. If they love Carnell Tate at number 4, they could certainly go that way. From the Jets standpoint, I think in front of the Titans now, you can almost guarantee that they're taking, an end, right? Like they're picking at number 2. They just gave up one to bring in Devondre Sweat. I think it maybe does show you what their strategy is going to be, whether that's Arvell Reese or Bailey or whoever, a couple of spots before you.
Yeah, that's true. It probably increases that likelihood. Although I guess with the Jets, you just never know.
That's true.
It's like on the draft an interior offensive lineman or something and just blow everyone away. But yeah, I think this takes a little pressure off Oladejo. There's still obviously going to be you use the second round pick and the guy, what is he? It's very important. But I think next year, depending on what all else happens, he could be bumped down a little bit, and you still hope that he can develop into a player who makes a difference. I hate to be optimistic about the Titans, but what if they do get like a Bailey? Now they have Johnson, Oladejo comes on, and all of a sudden it's like, wow, they actually have multiple options. They have depth. They have different people that can come up from different angles. You can move people around. And this is, anybody's watching any Robert Saleh defenses, they fly around, come at the quarterback from different angles. He's a huge, any defensive coach in football is huge. We need to get pressure with 4 guys so that you have the flexibility to do different things with 7 in coverage. They still, and then you throw in what Jeff can do. I mean, it could look different, and you could be quite a bit better at that aspect of, which to me is one of the most important aspects of football, is affecting quarterbacks.
Well, does it signal, Joe, that they're going to take Ruben Bain and slide him inside with the arm length officially out at 30 and 7/8 of an inch yesterday, which is one of the shorter ones that they've measured there?
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about it, but I got to say, man, it is like you look at someone had the list yesterday of top pass rushers in the league and their arm lengths, and it's all like 33 to 35, basically,
Yeah.
And again, it's like, is that what matters most? No, but it is part of the equation. It's part of the equation of handling the punch of these 6'6", 6'7" offensive tackles. I feel like yesterday, it's wild to me that, by the way, he told people that no one has even brought up the arm length. It's like, well, they're talking about it behind your back then,
Yeah.
Ruben.
I don't necessarily believe that.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I guess maybe it's like what is somebody going to say to him? Like, hey, so you got short arms, huh, buddy?
Stretch them out.
Yeah, can I shake your hand? I just want to see how close I have to get to you to shake your hand.
How's your hug?
We're basically hugging just to shake your hand. So that's great. We'll just hug. Yeah. I don't know, man. I guess it makes sense. People are going to say, Ruben, we're really worried about your arms, buddy. Tell me about your arms. Like, how did they get so short? But
anyway, you can fix those.
Yeah. Here, just hold on to these bars and just hang there for like 3 hours a day. See what happens. I do like a lot of reaction yesterday. It was like, oh my gosh, here comes the Ruben Bain plummet. And you know what? It may be, because it's really interesting. He is going to be such a fascinating test case, because I believe in him as a football player. I do. I believe in him as a football player. I actually really liked his interview too. Like, I just, I like how he I don't even think combed his hair for the interview. He just kind of showed up. He was like, hey man, whatever. I'm a football player. I'm going to kick somebody's ass, But this thing is, some people, people who are like, we need an edge. You have to think about this, and it's like, wherever you're picking, like, is it worth that? Is it worth the 4th pick to take him? It's really fascinating. Again, I've already favored Bailey, because I just think he's a classic, just speed rushing sack guy. And I think that he will be really good. I think there's a little bit more certainty there, but as people tell you, like, Bain's film is better. It's more relentless. It's more complete. And now you have this aspect to it. It's really going to be interesting. He's going to be probably as interesting an outcome as this draft has, probably.
With Bain, I do have a quick question. Did you guys feel an uptick in his production in the playoff compared to the regular season? You watched Miami more in the regular season. Was there an uptick in that? And is that a concern at all?
He was awesome in the playoffs. I mean,
did we notice him in the regular
Messidor.
season like that though? You know, is there a concern about that?
I mean, there were people. Yeah, I mean, I have to. I don't have like the breakdown in front of me. I mean, there were people talking about, hey, he should be the Heisman winner. Actually, I know one of my coworkers voted for Bailey as a Heisman guy, but no, I mean, I don't. I think the thing with Bain, like the motor stuff, which sometimes you hear about players like taking plays off, whatever. So like that's not really a thing with him. I don't have. I mean, I think he was pretty productive and destructive all year long, including in those big stakes games in the playoffs. So I think it really is just with him. It's just the measurables and how that just usually does not work coming off the edge.
Well, to put the arm length, and again, I mean, this is classic NFL combine conversation. It's the only sport we do this stupid stuff with, but it's what we do.
Yeah.
The apparently only 2 edge rushers since 1999 have measured in with shorter arms at the NFL combine than Ruben Bain. So it's not just like your arms are kind of short. It's like there's only been 2 people since 99 with the data that they have at that spot, at that position, that have measured shorter arms. So look,
do you know who?
I have no idea. Okay. I have no idea. Just every article I'm seeing, there's only 2 guys. It's like nobody names the 2 guys, but only 2 guys apparently have measured in shorter. So like you said, is it the be all end all? No. Like there's a lot about Bain that I like. Does it make it less likely that he gets drafted in the top 5? Yeah, I think it does, Joe. Like I think the measurables are going to count in this for some teams.
Yeah, no, there's some teams that I think it's like it's just we just can't mess with it. But like the cliche, it only takes one.
Yeah.
Like, is it possible the Titans are the team that's like, and Salah's like, dude, give me that guy. I'll put him. I don't give a crap where I put him. I'll put him next to Jeff. And guess what teams are going to do? They're going to crap themselves. I mean, like it's going to be interesting. I think there's going to be a team, multiple teams that feel that way. It's just like, where does that happen? Is it possible that the Titans could like him best at 4?
615-737-1025, our phone number. Continuing to take your thoughts on the aftermath of the T'Vondre Sweat, Jermaine Johnson trade. What does it mean for the Titans and their draft strategy? All that and more coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Right Time HVAC and Cromwell Media teaming up to bring comfort back to your home. Is your heating system struggling or completely out of commission following the winter storms? If so, nominate yourself for the Right Time Home Rescue and tell us your story. Enter today at thegamenashville.com/HVAC, and you can win a new HVAC system installed by Right Time HVAC as well. Right Time HVAC, locally owned and operated. There's never a wrong time to call Right Time. We'll have the Rob Rant coming up next, taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025 on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. So, Joe, what do you think this means for T'Vondre Sweat? You're a second-round pick. You spend a couple of years with the team that drafted you, and then they ship you off to the New York Jets. So, on the one hand, I mean, you've already been traded at this point in your career, and now, unfortunately for you, you have to go play for the New York Jets. What do you think this means for T'Vondre Sweat and his future?
Yeah, it's not exactly the place to go to get things rolling, right? It's like this. Usually, it's like, oh, you were on the Jets. Well, then we understand. Wow, look at how much better you are at whatever you do because you're no longer in the Jets organization. Congratulations. Usually, it's not like, oh, yay, you went to the Jets. That should be really good for you. Poor Aaron Glenn's falling asleep during drills too. That I'm sure that'll go over well in New York.
Looking like a great hire.
Yeah, man. Which is again, who knows? He was definitely a good defensive coordinator with Detroit. I mean, I thought it was a good hire. It's like it is. It's like you just go there and immediately just turn to a buffoon. Like everyone. I don't know, man. It's incredible ownership there, but yeah, it's for Sweat. Man, he just. I thought the idea of him working out with Jeff Simmons was good because obviously Jeff Simmons can tell him, like, look at what I did last year. Look, I was good. I was a very good player. But look at when I cut the weight and got a little bit quicker, look at what happened, right? I'm about to get another deal because of that. And legit Pro Bowl. And by the way, the Pro Bowl you brought up earlier, like with Jermaine Johnson, I do like Pro Bowl to me. Other than like quarterback, we have to dismiss now because like everybody just like, nah, thanks, I'm good. And then it's like you get just whoever to be quote unquote. But I think for the most part, like most other positions, it's like, I think there's a legitimacy to it. Also, I just feel like people should be designated like, were they named Pro Bowlers or are they substitute? Can we do that? Can we put like in parentheses a little S, like substitute with they were part of it in whatever way just because someone declined? You know what I mean? If that's the case,
I would love to know.
Yeah, like that's an important thing. But anyway, Sweat, he's gonna have to I don't care what scheme you're in. Like he wasn't excellent here. He flashed here. He'll play here and there. Here you could see the talent. It's not like we couldn't see that there was talent, but to me, it was 2 years of, man, he's talented, but like there's just no way that guy is maximizing himself. There's just no way. I'm sorry. Yes, some people are just huge human beings, and that's fine. But it's clear he did not play anywhere close to his optimal playing weight here, and that's on him. And so some of the real serious maturity issues that the Titans were trying to address during the draft process. When Rand Carthon and Brian Campbell, they went down there and talked to his family and all that stuff. None of that stuff manifested itself, but he did not live up to his talent. He did not play up to his talent. He was not in the shape to do that. Is that going to change for him in New York? I hope so, because he could be a really fun player in this league and he could have a hell of a career. But I mean, like, it's self-discipline you can't tell me that wasn't lacking and that didn't affect his career. And that's why he's somewhere else now.
I'll tell you one thing that I think we've learned about Mike Borgonzi in a short period of time. I mean, you're heading into what is now his second off season. He hadn't been here that long. He is not afraid to move on when he's done with somebody, right? Like, the Jarvis Brownlee thing, he moved on pretty quickly. And, you and I both looked at that and said, really? I mean, it's a fifth round corner that was good enough to be a starter for you. Like, did he really have some sort of either character concerns or locker room fits that was that difficult to overcome? that you move on from him that quick, and now you've moved on from Sweat. And look, right or wrong, I mean, you can disagree with both moves that he's made on that front if you want to. You can disagree with the Brownlee move. But, I mean, clearly when Borgonzi looks at the situation and decides that he's done, and he moves on. I mean, I guess that's one thing I've learned about him pretty quickly. There's no waiting around.
Yeah, no doubt. He makes the moves, man. And again, I still go back to last year and will question where they are at corner and whether doing all of that was right altogether. But I definitely like this one. I mean, I think this is one of his best moves with the Titans. Of course, we still don't know, like, his first draft, really, like, there's some promising stuff. There's the big question over the entire organization with the number one pick. And, like we've talked about, the second round pick is got to look better than it did last year. But you're right. When he wants to, he will move on, and we will see this soon. Of course, obviously we know Snead's going to be out of here. Cushenberry, a little bit of, I didn't necessarily see that coming. We got the Ridley decision coming too, but he is changing things rather quickly overall when you look at the whole roster, and overall needed to.
Sure. I mean, you're talking about a 3-14 team that he walked into. Now it's a 3-14 team still. So this is, not a whole lot going on in the way of wins. So I have no problem with you churning over the roster. It's one thing that stood out to me pretty quickly is he identifies players he thinks fits and players he doesn't think fits, and he just moves on after that. So, I mean, in some ways I kind of like that. Like, you're decisive, and we'll see, in that decisiveness, how good is your decision making. That's going to be, what the job kind of boils down to with him. But definitely, I mean, I people are going to continue to make a big deal of we got to get all the draft picks from Rand out of here, like the guys that I didn't draft. Let's move out of here. I don't how much of it is that. I have no idea. I think he's talked about that before, and that not really being a priority. I don't think he's ever going to come out and say that, but it is interesting. He's like, Brownlee, see ya. Sweat, see ya. Well, see you later. And you're going to bring in his own guys now.
Yeah, you certainly. It's not good if you have to get rid of every, player picked previously. There were actually some good acquisitions under Rand Carthon. I know it's a big Rand Carthon week around here. But obviously you got those offensive linemen. He's not moving on anytime soon from Skoronski or I think Latham, right? I mean, Spears is I think still gonna have a role around here. I guess you are saying goodbye to Chig, it appears. So it's getting thin. You do have Cedric Gray, who is absolutely, I think, a big part of the future here for that Titans defense. It wasn't all bad. I'm just saying. I know that's an unpopular take.
That is true. Let's hit the phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Mike and Gallatin to the program. Mike, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Hey, guys. Good morning. Quick question. So with us bringing in Johnson, is that somebody that we immediately have to start looking at a contract extension for, or is this you wait out and see how he plays this year before you run and do that? The only thing that I was not stoked about for the trade was you're trading a guy that had a few more years of rookie contract eligibility for another guy coming off a big injury that you didn't have a whole lot of question marks about. The thing I did like and appreciate, though, was that Robert Saleh got the best out of him while he was at his defense. So we have to hope that he can regain some sort of spark that he got from there. But if we're going to have to do that, and we already know that Skoronski and Simmons have contracts that need to be written up probably this offseason, do you add him to the pile, or is it something that you kick to down the road?
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike. I would say this. There's no way I'm giving Jermaine Johnson a contract extension right now.
No.
Like that, if I'm Borgonzi, it's like, look, man, we think you're a good player. You've got an opportunity here this year to go out there and prove it, and if you do, then we'll have that conversation. But that would probably be where that conversation begins and ends with me if I'm Mike Borgonzi.
Yeah, I'd be very surprised. I don't think you'll see that, and you don't have to do it now. And so I think it's a very, very much situation of, hey, we know you can play in this scheme. You're reunited with a coach you played your best football under, and also you're coming off this Achilles, and so there's some wait and see, and let's see it, and I think that's totally fair, and that's the way to play it. And real quick, we did have some people on both chats. I think Matthew and Jolton was telling it's the two guys were Nate Williams and Tyree Johnson. Although then someone also pointed out that Terrell Suggs was a short arm guy, and again, interesting play, but he kind of moved around guy, right? But he had similar arm length to Ruben Bain, so there is that.
There you go. We'll have the Rob rant coming up next. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Charles Robinson will be with us for his weekly visit at 7:30. Teron Davenport coming up at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
Don't make me angry.
Sometimes you have to tell someone to pound sand.
You wouldn't like me when I'm angry.
This is the Rob Rant. Now on Robby and Rexrode.
I will fart your world up.
Coach Harbaugh came out of the bathroom and I said, Coach, I would be honored to pour some liquid soap into your hand.
If my zipper's up, I feel like I'm in style.
He's a quarterback fluffer.
I will fart your world up.
It's the excessive sex and the excessive violence.
God bless America.
Yeah, it's not Springsteen.
You want to be in the all 22, Robert? It is that time of the day. It's time for the Rob Rant here on the program. Normally it's 7:45, but we got things going on the show today. Charles Robinson will be with us during that time, so we moved it around today. And Joe, in years past, I probably would have just said, you know what? Let's scrap the rant for one day. But Ian's so good at these mashups that I'm never scrapping it again. So we will definitely rant every day.
That's really why we do it, just so we can let Ian cook.
It's really, I mean, honestly, it really is why we do it. So, John, I want to take you on a journey today. I invite you to come with me on a journey. You know, we've spent a lot of time over the last few years talking about, Peter Skoronski and J.C. Latham and Traylon Burks, Caleb Farley, Isaiah Wilson, Cam Ward. What all those guys have in common? They're first-round picks of the Tennessee Titans. So, obviously, I mean, it's, premium picks, high level of importance that you nail those picks as an organization. And, we talked about Skoronski yesterday. Looks like he's going to get a second deal. Latham with some progress toward the end of last year. We'll see on Cam Ward. Obviously it did not go well with Wilson and Farley and Burks. Joe, this journey I want to invite you on. Let's take a look at how second-round picks for the Tennessee Titans have gone lately. I'm just going to read off the last five for you. Femi Oladejo, Tavondre Sweat, Will Levis, Roger McCreary, Dylan Radins. Those are your last five second-round picks. Roger McCreary, nice player, right? Nice player, did a solid job for the Tennessee Titans. Those other guys, Joe, I think you would be hard-pressed in a 5-year span to go back in NFL history and find, to this point, second-round picks in a 5-year span that you've gotten a whole lot less from, right? Like Oladejo, we'll see, but not a great start last year. Sweat, not very good, to be honest with you. Levis, Again, McCreary, nice player. Dylan Radins, we spent so much time talking about the first-round picks. For the love of God, find somebody in the second round that can play football for you this year too, if you're Mike Borgonzi. It shouldn't be that hard to find some serviceable, good football players in the second round. But my God, the Titans have made it hard over the last few years.
Yeah, now I want to know, how many second-round picks in NFL history in the Hall of Fame? It's a big number, I promise you. How many starters? How many, Pro Bowlers, but, whatever, all pro. I mean, all over the league, second-round picks are critical. And if you want to go back a little further, now 20, Christian Fulton, that actually would have been the one decent pick out of the 2020 draft. Out of the COVID draft under John Robinson, still was it didn't live up to what you wanted from a second-round pick. But okay, fine. And then we know the tremendous second-round pick of 2019 with A.J. Brown. Before that, Harold Landry. Before that, Derrick Henry. So, they had a really good history, and that fed the really good era, right? I mean, especially you think about just Derrick Henry, 21, the 21 team that's the number one seed in the AFC. Just Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and then also Landry that year was great, right? Landry and the whole front with Sims, all that. So think about that, just the second round, isolate it as how important it was. And then, as you said, you just went through all the players who absolutely have a big hand in the terrible era they're in now. So it's a great point, because we do focus so much on the first round picks. And, when you combine the firsts and seconds, it's just, and then granted, Skoronski, is fine, but then obviously the disasters that we talk about way more often, the Burks and the Farleys and the Isaiah Wilsons, combine the first and seconds, and it's like, you're just going to have a hard time overcoming that. Even if you do like better in free agency than they did, you'd have to do like some unbelievable magic tricks with drafting like that.
I said, go back through NFL history, you'd be hard pressed to find, second round picks that if you've gotten a whole lot less from. I mean, I'll give you another 3-year stretch and, not so far gone Titans history of second round picks. This is from 2013 to 2015, your second round picks for the Tennessee Titans. Justin Hunter, Bishop Sankey, Dorial Green Beckham. How about that?
Wow, man. Yeah. I mean, seriously. Yeah. With first round picks, including Taylor Lewan and Marcus Mariota, he was pretty good. Taylor Lewan was obviously turned out to be a great pick. One of the first rounder in 13. Wow, what a combo! Man, let me look at that. Look at that draft, like the 2013
2013 draft class, maybe the worst one I've ever seen.
Chance Warmack, Justin Hunter, Ray Wilson, Bleedy Ray Wilson. You got Xavier Gooden also in the third round. I mean, you get Brian Schwanke there in the fourth round. Oh my goodness, just
Bleedy Ray Wilson. That's a blast from the past right there, isn't it? Yep. It's like trading places. Looking good, Bleedy Ray.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Man, yeah, they had some just buttes. I suppose in 14 you did pick up Daquan Jones and Avery Williamson. Those guys ended up being pieces, starters in the defense, so that's good. But then even like 15, DGB, then you go Jeremiah Patasi. Oh my goodness. I mean, you got Jalston Fowler in there in the fourth round.
Whew. Good Lord.
Yeah, they really. And again, even through this, the good era, we talk about like Derrick Henry. They had 3 2s in 16. Derrick Henry, Hall of Famer. That worked out pretty well. Austin Johnson, fine.
He's
starter.
Okay.
And then Kevin Dodd.
Whew. Yep.
At 33. So basically a first rounder. So, and of course, the Kevin Dodd, there is so much of like the history repeating itself 10 years later and stuff. And it's just, you just really don't. If you're Femi Oladejo, you just really don't want to hear people talking about Kevin Dodd because it's too irresistible a comparison if this doesn't, get a lot better this year.
Let's just figure out our first and second round picks for a little bit of a length of time moving forward. That's my charge to Mike Borgonzi. If you could do that, you're going to like where you are here in a couple of years. But boy, are they on a run right now of first and second round picks. Like everybody focuses in on the first round picks. They're on an impressive run right now of just absolute futility from their second round picks. They really are.
Yeah, I would say, and look, I don't want to put everything on one draft, but I would be willing to, we know last year's first is going to tell the story more than anything, but this year's first and second, if Borgonzi hits, if those guys hit, I think I just really like their chances way more to be here, like in 2-3 years.
Yep.
If they go empty, I mean, you can just see how it's just hard to get too much better if you whiff there, as we see.
Yep. 615-737-1025 is our phone number. 615-737-1025. We will get into some more highlights from the combine yesterday, plus the NFLPA report card numbers have been thrown out there, and there are some interesting ones for the Titans. We'll get into that. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Hour number 2, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning, taking your thoughts on our phone and text lines driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We are presented by Green Ventures Landscaping for homes and businesses that want to stand out, not blend in. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us here in about 30 minutes, coming up at 7:30. Teron Davenport at 8 o'clock, taking your thoughts in the meantime. Joe, another day at the NFL Combine. You had Reuben Bain arm length that dominated the discussion on that front yesterday that we talked about. So hopefully he'll be able to overcome that. There was the linebacker from Ohio State, Sonny Styles. He had a 43.5-inch vertical, which is just absolutely insane. I mean, that dude is a freak. And you're talking about, a guy that we've talked about that's going to be going high in the draft, even though he doesn't have a quote-unquote premium position tag to him. But the vertical number there got a lot of people talking with a 43.5-inch vertical.
Well, I'm glad you brought him up. And I saw Mike Herndon throw this out there, and it's an interesting thought. It's like, what about him?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, what if he's Fred Warner?
I mean,
if he's Fred Warner, then do that. And he's there at 4. Okay. You believe he is the best football player, and he's going to be just an absolute monster in the middle of this defense, which, look, this defense is, 4-3 defense. Obviously, these defenses are all multiple and things like that. But, 4-3 defenses, typically, that middle linebacker, there's a certain amount of, funneling or expectation that you keep that guy clean to make a ton of plays. I mean, if you want to go back to the old stunt 4-3, which was devised by George Pearls with the Pittsburgh Steelers, and basically had a lot to do with what Mean Joe Green was doing up front, and everything was designed to funnel to Jack Lambert to make every play. I mean, again, we're going way back, and defenses have changed a lot, and it's not the same. But there's still some sort of carryover from that idea with a 4-3 defense. And again, anybody who's watched the 49ers, Fred Warner is going to be in Canton. He's an incredible player. It's not a premium position. He's not a pass rusher. He's not a pass defender. He's not a pass catcher. He's not a passer. He's an unbelievable football player who dominates games from that position. So we have not talked 1 second about Sonny Styles as a possible choice of the Tennessee Titans. It's also, for me, Robbie, it's like, it's just the Buckeyes. I think it's sometimes really hard, and I've underrated guys out of that program before because there's so much talent. You almost you get confused by who's doing what sometimes, right? Like guy Jeremiah Smith, okay, we can all see that. And they've had some guys on defense too. A Caleb Downs this year, we can all see that. Think about Styles and Reese and Downs on that defense and how they're being viewed in this draft. First of all, what a blown opportunity to win a national championship, right? But also, we haven't talked about it all. I think it's worth talking about. Sonny Styles as a possible, and he's obviously showing everybody, as you said, that he's a complete freak.
Mel Kiper had Sonny Styles in his mock draft earlier this week, going 7th to the Washington Commanders. By the way, in that same mock draft, he had Arvell Reese making it to number 4, and the Titans going with him.
Okay.
So there you go. Mel Kiper has Styles going all the way at 7, and the Titans taking Arvell Reese.
And it seems like Mel is like a year ago, he was the biggest champion of Shador.
Yeah.
And it looks like this year that's going to be Ty Simpson, right? He's already screaming, I see, about Ty Simpson is going in the first round. So And he may be right. I mean, I would pick the same thing, by the way, but just saying, Mel gets these sort of pet projects, and
by the way,
he get emotional.
He sure does. He got really emotional last year. Mel had Reuben Bain going length measurements. So he's got Bain going all the way to 10 to Cincinnati.
Yeah. I think that something like that is in play. I do. And it's just like, are we going to be talking in a few years about how this is a great example of how we all overreact to things that are just tiny little differences and don't keep an open mind enough to think, well, there's always people who break the mold on things, right? Watch the guy play football. Or in a few years, they're going to say, yeah, like there's just some benchmarks that you either hit or you don't, and the history tells you that it means something. I can't wait to find out. But I think that it's probably going to be something like that.
I mean, it is kind of amazing, Joe, thinking about this. Like, everybody's convinced that Mendoza is going number one, and I understand why. Orlovsky has been apparently watching Fernando Mendoza tape and has not been all that impressed. Like, he got on ESPN yesterday and was like, yeah, I'm through like 8 games, and he does not scream number one overall pick to me. So, we'll see what that all looks like. But when you start looking at guys, and again, I am by no means an expert, but if you had to ask me right now of the first round potential options that are there, 3 guys that I feel best about that are probably going to be really good NFL. I think my answer, Joe, would be Caleb Downs, Jeremiah Love, and Sonny Styles. Those would be the 3 guys I'd probably say, and not one of those guys plays a premium position.
Yeah, look, and I'm telling you, man, that's why. Again, right now, you ask me to pick, I'm going to pick David Bailey. But if you have one or more of those guys available to you, and again, just on your overall, your big board, it's like that's just the best football player. Do it, please do it. Any of them. I mean, I'm not kidding. Like if you're going to end up getting one of the best players at that position over time, like someone on the text line a few minutes ago says, like, in history, people don't remember need. It's just who did you get? What great players did you get in the draft? We just talk too much about need, especially with a team that is loaded with them anyway. It's not like, oh, you add this piece and now everything else is solid and there's no, like, you have everything. No, when you're this needy, then need means less to me.
Does it feel like by the way, draft for need more now than they used to?
I think it just depends.
In general.
Good question.
I think there are situations where drafting for need is absolutely the right move, right? Like if you're a team that, I mean, like the Rams this year, I think are a good example, right? The Rams are probably the second or third best team in the league right now. They have 2 first-round picks. Like I think if you're like, I would go get a corner, right? Yep. They absolutely need to do that. So like if you're the Rams, that makes sense. I do think, Joe, to your point about the offensive tackle that you made a couple weeks ago, like I understand the argument. Like if you're the Titans, you're not close to that. So like just go stockpile some good football players and then worry about needs later.
How many great football? Again, every draft. This is another thing. I'd love to read this. Like what's the, and maybe it's been written, I just missed it, but like what's your average number of like actually great players out of every draft? What's the highest? What's the lowest? All that. Like that's what it comes down to. You have to come away with great players out of these drafts. And so if you let need cloud your vision, you can really get in trouble. But you're totally right. The Rams are a great example. That is a glaring need. Now, if there weren't corners with first round grades and they're still taking them in the first round, then that's a problem. But they're going to have, I think they're going to have guys. I mean, there's a few corners, including a couple Tennessee guys, who are going to be who are graded at this point along those lines. So perfect. If the two things intersect, great. But yeah, when it comes down to it, over time, you need great football players. And like the Titans in particular, these bad teams, it's a really fascinating draft from that perspective with the non-premium, potentially great players available.
Well, and by the way, I said if I had to identify 3 players right now that I feel like are going to be really, really good in the NFL, and I picked Styles, Love, and Caleb Downs. It's not like I don't think David Bailey is going to be good in the NFL. Like I think David Bailey is going to be a good player. I think Reuben Baines got a chance, even with the short arms, to be a good player. I mean, Arvell Reese is an absolute athletic freak. So if he can figure out, being an edge rusher full time, which is what he wants to do, then I think he could be a good player too. I'm just saying, like, I also, when you have players, and I do pay attention to this, when you have players who don't play quote unquote premium positions that teams are still going to take really high in the draft, I think that kind of highlights even more, Joe, how good a player they are that they overcome some of that. And I think you're absolutely going to see that with guys like Love, certainly with Downs. Like, that's going to happen here in the top 10 of this draft.
Yeah, no question. I know some people are. Someone was complaining, and I know I get it. It's like, so you have the number 1 pick when it's not like a generational guy. Now this year you have the number 4 pick, and some people are saying this is like a really bad overall crop of players. And I get it. You can look at it that way, but I promise you, there will be guys from this draft who end up becoming great players in this league who have careers that might put them in the Hall of Fame. It's just how many of them and which ones.
615-737-1025, our phone number. The NFLPA player report cards are out there, and there was one area that the Titans did not do well in. We will get into that coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025, The Game. Tonight, Vanderbilt baseball taking on UC Irvine at 4 o'clock. Catch all the action on 102.5 The Game and at the Game Nashville app. Coverage presented by Gary Force Acura. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us at 7:30. We have Teron Davenport coming up at 8 o'clock. All that ahead. Taking your thoughts at 615-737-1025. So, Joe, the NFLPA report cards results have made their way out there, much to the chagrin of NFL owners. And it's interesting. You go through, there's everything from, head coach ratings to, training room, nutritionists. There's we've gone through some of this before. There's all sorts of things that players kind of take surveys of here. I mean, you'll be happy to know out there that Brian Callahan and Mike McCoy get the same head coaching grading as Matt LaFleur. So that's good stuff out there in this NFLPA report card. Matt LaFleur just continuing to get it done. So really enjoy that. All got a B minus, by the way. That's impressive for particularly Callahan and McCoy.
Yeah. So the obvious question there is like, okay, so who gets what? Like, how does that average out?
Yeah.
Like, did Callahan, did McCoy drag it down, or did McCoy?
I think McCoy brought it up.
Yeah, I mean, he may have. Yeah. Some good grades for the Titans. First of all, there's only one A, and it's an A+, and you'll be not surprised, I think, to know it's Bones Fossil, special teams coach. I mean, my gosh, everybody loves him.
Like,
A+. Just put him in charge of the whole place, man. A+ for him. Other good things. GM gets a B+. People like the Borgo. They like the Borgo. The training staff gets a B+. There's a lot of Bs, like strength position coaches, dietitian, food, dining area, treatment of families is a B+. That's really good. And that was something that a few years ago was a huge complaint. And then you get into, so OC got a C. Poor Nick Holtz. I got a C.
Poor guy didn't even call plays.
It's fine. You got your locker room D+, which is interesting. Like, I mean,
did they just do the locker room not that long ago?
It wasn't that long ago, and I guess I haven't been into all the facilities. NFL facilities are a lot more modest than college facilities, like the super, the top reaches of college football. That's basically like that used to be so important in recruiting. And also it's all basically like hiding. Like, what do we do with all this money that the players aren't getting? Hey, let's build a Taj Mahal where they can have a chocolate fountain, and TVs at their lockers. So like the NFL locker rooms pale in comparison to like the top college football programs. But I thought that the Titans, it's fine. I don't know. That's an interesting one. I don't know. When Amy redid it a few years ago, and we're talking 2018, probably 17, 18. So it's been a minute, but that one surprised me. The big one, of course, home game field, F-. F-. Remember, the Titans put all this, the grass.
Can you get an F- in school? I thought it was just an F.
No, you can't.
You can't
in this thing.
But apparently in this one you can't, because we saw that with Clark Hunt too, right? Didn't Clark Hunt get an F- from the Chiefs? Yeah.
I mean, F- to go even below an F, that is hardcore.
That's a tough one.
But I will say, like, this is part of what bothers me about Amy and what she, they cheaped out without not doing the retractable roof. They should have done it. It's stupid not to do it. It's a couple $100 million more. Didn't do it. And they cheaped out not doing the grass, the grass, whatever the trays in the stadium. That's what players want. It's safer. The data says it's safer. The NFL tries to put this and that out to spin it, but players feel it it feels way better through the week, even if we're not talking about injuries. And obviously the spin the Titans put on the change was that, the grass, and they were right, like the grass got ground up and chewed up late in the season. It looked rough out there. Still safer, still preferred by the players, but now they went with this turf, this field turf. And I understand it's better than it used to be, but I take F- seriously. Maybe listen to the people who are out there, blasting their bodies and bashing their heads in to entertain all of us.
I have a theory on the locker room thing. You ready? The players, you get the new locker room. and early on the returns are good. You like it. Everything is going well. And then as time goes on, Joe, they look around and they realize, Kuharski's still wandering around the locker room. Like it doesn't matter what you do to the locker room, he's still there. So that's where the D+ rating comes from. It's Kuharski's fault.
I can't dress at my locker without possibly being put on the internet.
I mean, I'd probably vote it down too.
That's a D. Yeah, remove this guy, and all of a sudden, boom, it's at least a B+. My goodness, that's a great theory.
That's my theory. That's my working theory on the locker room grade.
I think you may be onto something there. Oh boy.
Now it's always hilarious, like because again, I understand like the general public reads some of this stuff, like. For instance, like the Titans, I think rated their team travel C+, whereas most of America looks at that and is like, really? It's just your private charter jets where you get food and all this stuff. It's just there's not quite enough leg room on there, so it's just a C+. Like, some of the the treatment of family stuff is, that's the one a few years ago that the Titans were really struggling in, and it seems like they responded to this report card, which by the way. That's why this thing might be good. And and responded to that. There are some other treatment of family stuff. Like I know for the Packers, like the treatment of families, they did not get a good score. And apparently it basically stems from a lot of these teams offer like game day childcare for players' kids, and the Packers, I guess, don't. So that's really upset some of their players. So they're not doing well on the treatment of families right now.
Yeah, you're right. Some of this stuff is like, really, guys, is this really going to play? Now, I think someone on the text chat or the text line driven by WellsingHighHigh.com is talking about home field as in, like, I don't believe this is not like home field advantage or like.
No, they're talking about the actual.
They're talking about
field.
the field itself. They're talking about what they play on. So it has nothing to do with like the crowd or whatever. If this texter's trolling me, good troll. Says, love how Joe says they're cheaper. They're cheaping out for not spending $200 million. Wish we had Joe's money. No, you wish you had Amy Adams Strunk's money. She's a billionaire who just got the most public money ever for a stadium. Well, what are we talking about here? Do you know how?
Joe, I'm not going to put any grass on that field. It don't matter how much you yell about it. We've made the decision. We're going with the turf. I don't care what the report card says. It's why I was yelling at Roger to get rid of these report cards. We're not going with grass on the field.
Has she ever done a fox hunt on AstroTurf? I'd like to know.
What
if you tried to do a fox hunt on AstroTurf?
Be hard to find the foxhole on the AstroTurf. I know that.
Well, it's like, I mean, when they first decided, and there was talk of the cost of doing the retractable roof. And people from the Titans telling me, I mean, there's a lot of days where the weather's not good. What? You know how many days here would be amazing to have that thing open? I mean, Indy still does it. They were trying to use Indy as an example, and they still do it a fair amount, but it's different. We do not have the same climate as Indianapolis. It still pisses me off. And, people should continue to be mad about this. Speaking of owners, did you see the some of the Bengals grades there?
Yeah, I did. Not very
good.
Let
me run through them real quick. Treatment of families, F-. Food dining area, F-. Nutritionist, dietitian, F. Home game field, a D-. Team ownership, D+. Through all that, the owner does get a D+. So that's congratulations too. So you must be a really nice person, Mike Brown, despite treating your employees like this. Congratulations.
They got a heck of a weight room in Cincinnati as well. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports will be with us coming up next. You're listening to Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Welcome back in, Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game. Robbie Stanley, Joe Rexrode, Ian Safar here with you on this Friday morning. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, and welcome in our friend Charles Robinson to the program from Yahoo Sports. Charles, good morning. How are you?
What's going on, gentlemen? How you doing this morning?
Doing awesome. How is Indianapolis? Have you run into Kuharski yet?
I actually have a kind of a funny story about that. I think what day was it? I was in the media center earlier in the week, and I hear someone arguing, and I'm like, man, this is like some kind of argument going on. And I go and I look, and it's Paul sitting by himself doing his show. With no one else around. Only Paul could have an argument with himself. It's like,
no, you shut up. No, you shut up.
I was like, Jesus, Paul, what's going on, man? I didn't even get a chance to say hello. And then when I ran into Rand Carthon, I was kind of like across the room. This would have been on Wednesday, I think. And I was waiting. I was like, oh, let me see these two cross paths. I was like, I want to see what happens here. Yeah, nothing. But I'm trying to lure all the ex-Titans personnel in Paul's orbit to see if there's any kind of a run-in.
Well, I mean, what about Jordan Schultz?
Yeah, get Jordan Schultz in there too.
Yeah, I mean, he likes to like get physical, right? Like, what about that? I think he and Paul.
I haven't even seen Schultz this combine, but I did see Ian Rappaport, and I told him, I said, hey, just so you know, I'm the picture that Mike Garafolo took of you two nose to nose. I wanted to put that on a t-shirt, and I was going to wear it to this combine. he appreciated that I did not do that. So
one of the great moments.
Yeah, no doubt. I actually think like Rappaport, like Kuharski actually could probably take Rappaport. You know? Sometimes we talk about like which coaches in the league could would be like the toughest, like Saleh versus Vrabel. We should do the opposite with media. Who are the wimpiest media guys? Like Rappaport and Kuharski might actually like be the main event.
I'm not even gonna get into that. That's great though. That's awesome. I do enjoy that. I swear to God, every show I join, I feel like it's such an everybody else is so tiny next to me. Like I was doing a show with Jory Epstein and Andrew Siciliano, and I realized while we were there, we're all sitting in directors' chairs. Neither of their feet was touching the floor. I was like hand sitting, like my feet were fully on the floor. I wasn't even sitting because I was too tall to sit. I was like half standing, leaning into the director's chair because they were on this. Yeah, ridiculous.
You're the Tavondre Sweat of media.
Yeah,
I think I can hold my own. I think so. Who knows?
So
I
Charles,
am like the Tavondre Sweat of media. Very tradable.
Well, I guess let's start there. What did you make of that trade with Sweat going to the Jets and the Titans getting Jermaine Johnson in return?
I mean, it was like what we talked about last week. Where like, what's he going to do? You know, like how does he fit? And so to me, I think, I liked it because I like Jermaine Johnson when he's healthy. Is a good, key pass rushing piece, and he's still got, there's prime there. So I was actually very happy with it, and he fits with the Robert Saleh mentality. I think obviously having the background there is really key, but just schematically, I think it's a really good swap of talent, and I think from a draft pick standpoint, I don't know what you really would have gotten out of Sweat. Because of the position he plays, it's just not, he doesn't, he's got a lot of scheme versatility there with him. So any team that acquires him, you want him to be on the field as much as possible, and you have to run a very specific scheme for him to be able to do that. And so I don't think draftably you're not going to get a Jermaine Johnson, who I think if you get the most out of him, is going to be a very good piece, for the Titans. So I like the player for player rather than like fishing around for a pick and, probably not getting anything that's wildly impressive for Sweat at this point.
So Dan Orlovsky First, he does the vague posting, like, "Oh, I looking at the film, and I was surprised, about Mendoza." Like, come on, man! Like, just say what you want to say. But apparently, he is now saying he's underwhelmed by the Mendoza film. And honestly, that doesn't shock me. I don't think Mendoza is like some like generational talent. It's not a great number 1 overall pick lock. Do you think there's any chance he's not the number 1 overall pick?
I really don't. But it's, I will say it's funny. The first team I met with, I went out to lunch with a guy, and really high-end executive for a team that's going to be in the mix for quarterback this offseason, for a team that, like, if you'd sit there and say, okay, well, here's everybody who needs a starting quarterback next year, and you could slot in 5 or 6 teams at one, it's likely they'd take Mendoza, right? So he's in that group, but it does not have number 1 pick, is not a Raiders executive. So we're talking, and I bring up Mendoza, and he says, yeah, it's not that impressive when you consider, you look at the film that's out there, there's just not a ton of it. They're like, there really is only 1 year of film that you digest and you see enough to consider him a top quarterback in this class. And he's like, that's obviously Indiana. He said, the thing that bothers me is great running game, really good offensive line, really, really good defense. He's like, the coaching was impeccable around him, like not just on offense, but the overall coaching of that staff was unbelievable. Never turned his back ever on like he said something like the guy has 6 snaps like that where he turns his back on the defense, which is pretty scary. And he said, look, I think we're going to find out a number of the skill position players on Indiana are probably going to be NFL players, so that tells you it's not like he's coming from the poorhouse when he wasn't just the one NFL player on a team and then just ran him on this run. Now he did say he's like, look, he is absolutely tough. He's like, the toughness end of it is off the charts. That's real. And he said his arm's fine. He said an adequate arm. He said, what scares me is he just didn't have any of these, he had some games where he put up some big numbers. He said, but when he played top defenses, it was more, he made a couple of key throws in those games where you're like, okay, this was the role that he played, to help them win these games. And, he said, he basically was like, it's just, this is the guy. And he goes, the rest of the class, it's just lagging so significantly behind where Mendoza is. You just sort of automatically slot him at 1. And he compared it, frankly, to Cam Ward last year, where he was like, look, it was obvious. Like Cam was head and shoulders above everybody else. And, he said, look, it's on apples to apples comparisons, but apples to apples comparison. He said, but there is some similarities to how Cam ended up number 1. He said, even, the transfer that took place where Cam would have been drafted had he come out a year earlier and not done, the final year at Miami, had Mendoza not done the final year at Indiana, he would have gotten drafted, have been late. Said Cam, I think it would have been similar. Had he not, transferred to Miami and gone to draft instead, he would have been drafted late. Said he, at one point, he said he felt like it was, you knew what you're getting out of Cam, you knew what you're getting out of Mendoza. The two things were similar. Only the one trait that is different is that he's like, I think Cam's a little better athlete, but Mendoza, a little bit more of what you're going to get. Like he's going to follow the script exactly as you give it to him and not occasionally hold onto the ball and try to make some, epic play with it. And he's like, so it's a solid dissimilarity, that one trait. He said, but he basically said, look, I put those two as kind of 2 peas in a pod in terms of where they fit in the NFL and where they could be going. Like he was like, look, do I think Mendoza can have a good career? Yeah, I do. But I don't think it's going to be like a top, 8 to 10 quarterback career. He's like, you might end up being fringe top 10 if everything goes right. And he's like, and hey, the Seahawks just won a Super Bowl with Sam Darnold. So if you can build the right kind of team around him, then you're justified.
So, Charles, Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni earlier this week talking about A.J. Brown did not shut down at all the idea that he could be traded this offseason. So, obviously, that has generated a lot of reaction since then. I know you've got a piece on this at Yahoo Sports as well. So, what do you make of that? And if an A.J. Brown deal comes to pass this offseason, what do you think the compensation looks like for Philadelphia at that point?
Well, it's interesting when they had their podium availabilities, and then I kind of went out to other teams and said, you know, like, can you help me dial in what is the realistic trade value here? Because there was like this presumption of a first round pick by a lot of media members. And I was like, man, is that real? And I mean, I talked to 6 different teams. Only one said, you know, yeah, I would say a first round pick's in play, but you know, he put qualifiers on it. He's like, look, you got to be late, you know, it's a late first round pick. You're sitting there saying, this absolutely fills perfectly what we're looking for. And we're in a Super Bowl window now, and it's the must have piece that we absolutely want to plug in and get a couple years out of AJ. But the other 5 that I talked to all dialed it in as like a second to a third with different qualifying things that could affect the value. I thought what was really interesting is they all pointed at the Stephon Diggs deal in 2024, where they're like, look, you had the Bills. They're like, it's almost, you know, they almost map over each other perfectly. You got a guy who's having issues with his quarterback. You know, there's some friction there. He's having issues with his head coach. There's some friction there. You don't know whether he's all in, you know, with your organization, and yet the skill set is still so good that when he goes out and hits his ceiling, he can still be, you know, if not an all-pro level player, just the cut below that. So very, very good to potentially an all-pro level player. And so just like Diggs, it's what does that market ultimately look like? Well, you know, the Houston Texans had a young quarterback. They're saying we need a number 1 for our young quarterback. So we're going to be willing to go out there and pay a second round pick if you trade us Diggs and you attach something to it, another later round pick. So that's ultimately how that deal went down. I think there is a feel that there's some similarity there with Brown. There's questions about, you know, he's never like a super fast guy. Is he even maybe a slight tick slower than when he was running at his best in the league? And you know, it's like, who can work with him, right? Who's got the background? There were definitely a couple of executives that felt like he needs a, you know, sort of a mentor and an advocate in the building to go, hey, we can work with him. Let's bring him in. And, you know, one in particular brought up Rob Moore. And, you know, Rob Moore's obviously with Carolina right now. I'm not sure that's something that the Panthers would want to entertain. Obviously, Mike Vrabel, people have brought that up. That seems natural because of the time that they have spent together. But I sit there and I'm like, do I want AJ and Stephon Diggs together in the same quarterback, same offensive meetings? Like they're in the field at the same time. You know, what if one's catching 8 balls and one's, you know, getting 3? Like, how is that ultimately going to go? So it's tricky, but I do think there's a market there for him, and it may take a little bit of time before it unfolds. One interesting thing that kind of came out of it, everybody was like, well, if it's going to happen, it's going to happen before the 2026 draft. And the thinking behind that was no one right now wants to trade their 2027 picks. They feel like that draft is just going to be so much better than this draft overall, and especially like the top 60 picks. So if you're going to deal a second rounder, you're really trying to deal it this year. And like one made the point of, well, look at the Cowboys and Quinnen Williams. When the Cowboys traded Quinnen Williams to the Jets and they told them you can have a 1 and a 2 pick, the Jets were like, well, we want your 27 one. They're like, we don't want your 26 one, which they figured was probably going to be higher in the order than what they get in 2027. They still went with the 2027 and just said, just give us the highest between your first in 2027 or the Green Bay first you have. I thought that was pretty interesting, this idea that any trades that happen really need to go down before the 2026 draft because you're trying to move your 2026 compensation.
So Charles, we have the report cards. Now there is some clarify on that. We have the report cards now. Am I correct? So this is supposed to be the last year then? Is that right? Obviously.
No.
Right.
I mean, that's not what the union is saying. No.
Okay.
What the union is saying. So basically what happened is the NFL won an arbitration to force them private. Basically saying you can't publicly disparage teams or individuals in like a survey like this.
Which makes them the softest snowflakes in the history of mankind. But yes, keep going.
Yeah. Like even though, and like one of the biggest complainers about these report cards is Woody Johnson of the Jets, who Woody Johnson went out and threw Justin Fields under the bus at an owners meeting from everybody, multiple times. So they can disparage the players and they can disparage anybody they want. But when it comes to the flip side of it, they don't want this is not right. They don't want this level of accountability. So the result was the union said, fine, we'll keep doing the report cards. We're just not going to publicize them. We're not going to give you any anecdotes or commentary. We're not going to comment on them at all, but we are going to still distribute them to the players. Well, if you distribute them to thousands of players, they're going to end up in the hands of agents and media members eventually. Like it's going to happen. Yeah. But the difference is we'll
get this. Yeah, we'll get this every year then still. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll still get it. But it's just what you're going to lose out on is some of the context of, hey, why, this team, the treatment of families was subpar. You may not get the commentary all the time. Like it sort of depends how full, if you're able to get your hands on the report, or the report card, how full is the information you're getting. And if you feel like you want to ask more questions, you're going to have a hard time doing that unless you cover the team in particular. So if you're in the orbit of the Lions and there's something on the Lions report card, and it's not sort of fully fleshed out in what you're looking at, you're going to have to go to the players and say, hey, here's this vote. What does this mean? Why did you feel like the playing, so let's just to throw one of the categories out there. Let's just say the playing surface got an F. Why did the playing field get an F specifically? And so it's just harder to kind of get at the information, but the report cards are I feel like that's something that's going to continue to get out as long as they disseminate on the players. I will say this, that's interesting. I was surprised that this, ESPN and NFL, their relationship now is financial, right? I mean, the NFL has a stake in ESPN. And so part of me wonders, do we get to a point down the line where owners continue to grouse about these report cards and are basically saying, look, we own part of ESPN. We don't want these report cards out there. And so it's a no-fly zone in terms of, I'm not saying that is absolutely going to happen, but I mean, you did have Jim Trotter, who worked for the NFL Network, who sued the league and got a settlement, who straight up said, hey, there were certain things you knew you really couldn't report on when you worked for the NFL. So let's not act like there's not a track record of the NFL leaning on reporters to not put certain information out there. So, but yeah, it was interesting nonetheless to kind of see what was in the reports. A lot of what I saw, 18 C pluses or worse when it came to the fields, the playing fields, or the field surfaces.
Titans got an F minus
for teams. Yeah, well, they were one of 6 Fs, across the league, and I mean, what did the Seahawks get? Was it like a D or a D minus? Like for their playing, some of the teams are like, wow, okay, I would not have expected this, but you can see that players by and large are not psyched about the surfaces they're playing on, and I think it has more to do with just is it field turf or is it grass? No.
Did Charles mute himself? We lose Charles.
Is the NFL shutting up Charles?
Yeah, there we go.
Roger Goodell snipe you with a poison dart?
I think a lot of the complaints, it's just, what's the standard of consistency? Like how are they maintaining this from 1 week to the next, from one field to the next? It's like, the union players are like, every team should have consistency of their own field, and the fields that we play on should have consistency between them. Whether it's our field or we go to play in Seattle or we go to play in Kansas City or wherever else. So yeah, a lot of complaining about that. I thought the addition of general managers was a new addition this year. The head coach and all the coordinators was a new addition this year that I thought was pretty interesting. Like Kwesi Adolfo-Mensah got like an A- or an A, and they fire him. Meanwhile, Joe Shane has the worst GM grades, a D+, and he's back. So that's kind of awkward knowing your players rated you a D+ as a general manager. Chip Kelly got an F, which was like I was like, yeah, that's the most obvious grade. Like, the clear and away. I am not surprised that Chip Kelly received an F from Raiders players, but yeah, I thought it was a pretty interesting just kind of scenario to see how everything was rolled out. With Tennessee, you're like the field issues. The first question you kind of have when you're looking at it is, well, are you building a new stadium? And if the answer is yes, you kind of feel like, okay, those kinks are probably going to get worked out by that. It's like the locker room, same deal. Are the kinks going to get worked out with some renovation or new facilities? The ones that are a little harder to the ones that are a little more difficult to tackle, like team travel. Okay, well, you got to figure that out. Thankfully, they didn't get a bad grade in treatment of families, which is the one that I think players really do care about that. And it's kind of a sticky. It's just been a very sticky one when you talk to agents. They're like, yeah, when guys are sitting there in free agency, obviously it's not at the top of the criteria, but they do pay attention to that grade. That where if they feel like they're close on a couple of different teams and one has like an F in treatment of families, they'll take that into consideration. Like the Steelers just got banged on a lot of stuff. And, but just to see
that was surprising.
I mean, treatment of families, F, home field, F-, locker room, F-, team travel, F, and then team ownership, D-. I'm like, wow. Because, the Steelers, what have we always said for years and years? Well,
they're supposed to be the best.
Yeah, good ownership. Lead the way. Ugh, sounds like they're pretty cheap. That's what that indicates when you see those categories low grades.
Yep, no doubt about it. Well, Charles, I know it's been a very busy week for you. We appreciate so much you carving out some time for us this week, and looking forward to talking to you next week, my man.
Yep, sounds good. Take care, guys.
Absolutely. Charles Robinson from Yahoo Sports, our guest here on the program. Normally Thursday mornings at 8 o'clock. Had him this week with the NFL Combine move to today, so looking forward to having Charles back next Thursday. We'll have Teron Davenport with us coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 102.5 The Game.
ESPN's Turon Davenport, Talking Titans, now on Robby and Rexrode on ESPN 102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is that time of the week. We head to our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in our friend Turon Davenport to the program. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit ParmanEnergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. TD out at the NFL Combine, and TD's reports from the NFL Combine brought to you by Chicago's home for chicken and waffles in East Nashville. TD, good morning. How we doing? What's going on?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How's it going?
Good. Awesome, man. Appreciate you taking time to be with us this morning. I know it's been a busy week for you, so appreciate you taking time to be with us. TD, the Tavondre Sweat trade goes down yesterday. It's a rare player for player trade, which you don't see a whole lot in the NFL anymore. What did you make of that move, and what do you make of Jermaine Johnson coming back the other way for the Titans?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect storm, and I'm sorry about the bells. I'm walking by a church as I go from one part of the convention center to the other. But it's a perfect storm for both players, right? You look at the situation. It's two organizations. They felt the players weren't necessarily a fit after a coaching change. Obviously, Aaron Glenn has been there for a year, but I like the swap. I think Sweat should fit in there and give them, a nice zero tech and that 3-4 type of look that they do. And Jermaine Johnson coming back, this team needs pass rushers. They need experience there, and it's just kind of betting on a player, coming back with a guy and Robert Saleh who drafted him, and seeing that they could get back to that 7.5 sack season, that happened a couple years ago.
So how do you view this move, TD, in terms of Femi Oladejo, and also in terms of any impact at all potentially on like the Titans draft strategy?
Well, it gives them depth at the position. And I think when you look at Femi, both Mike Bergonzi and Robert Saleh seem to really like Femi. And I think Femi and Saleh, they're a match as far as like the energy and the way that they give off good vibes. You know what I mean? So I think it does affect him as far as someone else to compete against, but I feel like he's still going to be a part of the rotation and given every shot to land an important role with this team. And it also, I'll add, it doesn't affect anyone who thinks this impacts where they go at number 4 is incorrect. They'll still, in my opinion, weigh that edge position heavily into their selection.
So, TD, we knew heading into the Combine that the Ruben Bain arm discourse was going to be a popular topic of conversation. And now, of course, he's got the measurement at 30 7/8 of an inch. And we've talked about that someday on the show. What do you make of that? What do you think that's going to do to him and his draft status here? What do you think it should do? Where do you come down on all the Ruben Bain arm length discussion?
Yeah, if I'm Ruben Bain and anyone asks me about that, I would say, hey, did you watch the college football playoff run? Did it affect me then? And when the person says no, I would say, well then. And that's something that obviously measurables and traits, they're important, but end of the day, football is football, and I think, when you look at Bain, he's someone that is just an impactful player. Now, don't get it twisted. Early in the year, there were times in which he kind of didn't appear in games, and that's going to be an issue. But, I mean, look, Mike Bergonzi, he said it best, right? Sometimes you have long arm guys that don't know how to use the long arms and short arm guys that just know how to get to the lineman in front of them. And he said it didn't really impact him when he evaluated Bain. So, I mean, that's an NFL GM saying that. So we'll see.
TD, we've talked about the whole, the best player versus need thing. Obviously, it's always a discussion around the draft. We talked about it with you. We've talked about Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Love. Obviously, these are two players that if you believe, they're not quote unquote premium position guys, but if you believe that's a great player or like that's the best player, best football player on the board, to me, you're up, you take that player. But another guy we haven't talked about really until today, and I know he speaking of measurables and traits, doing some ridiculous stuff, is Sonny Styles.
Yeah.
What do you think? Like, obviously, my mind goes to, Fred Warner's not a premium position either, and just look at what he has meant to a great defense over the years. He's going to be in Canton, and I'm not sitting here saying, "Hey, how would you compare Sonny Styles to Fred Warner?" But that kind of impact in a defense, would you consider Sonny Styles someone that the Titans would take seriously as a possibility at that position at 4.
Honestly, I would. And he's one of those instances where you have the measurables and traits matching exactly what you see on the field. I don't believe he missed a tackle last year. And you look how many times, he was at the football, and we're talking about on a defense that has a bunch of good players. In fact, they have probably 3 that'll go in the top 15, top 20. You know what I mean? So you look at that, and I think when you look at just what this organization is trying to do, Robert Saleh wants to institute a fast and violent mindset on the deep throughout the whole team, but on the defense especially. And those are 2 words that you definitely could use to explain Sonny Styles' game. And let me tell you something, man. I was right on there on top of the vertical. That dude, that jump was crazy. That first one, and then the second one was really good. And he watched his broad jump. And it's funny because I didn't think he was going to run the 40, because when he hit that 11-2, he stepped off that little area where they measure. He took his shoes off, put his pants and coat on, and walked over to the other side of the field. I thought he was done. You know what I mean? But, I think he's someone you absolutely have to consider. I may not be the pick, but end of the day, you want guys that are going to help your football program. You want guys that are going to set the tone, and he is absolutely that.
So, TD, the receivers spoke this morning, and Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, Mekhi Lemon. What you were there for that? What kind of stood out to you, maybe the most, from a couple of those guys?
Yeah. So Jordan Tyson, he didn't. I don't know the young man, so I can't say for sure. But he just had a very laid back, nonchalant type of presence at the podium. You know what I mean? And I wasn't as impressed with him speaking. Carnell Tate, very confident. I really liked how, one of the things he said was at Ohio State, we push each other to be the best receiver. And typically when you're the best receiver at Ohio State, you're the best receiver on the field. I thought that was cool. He also said that he really was able to impact the game without touching the ball, and he took pride in blocking. So that was good. But, the star, Mekhi Lemon. We have another group coming at 9:30, but the star was Mekhi Lemon so far for me, and just the mindset, the approach. He talked about his drive and playing above the rim, and he talked about being able to play inside or outside. And he said, just wherever I go, I want to dominate. That's all I'm thinking about is dominating, and just his presence. It was. That's what you want. You know what I mean? And that's what you have to have, when you're 5'10", 5'11", 190, 185, whatever he is, and go against these guys, So that's the thing that I thought was really cool with him.
I mean, I'm going to eventually, it may not take long, get around to they just have to take Mekhi Lemon at 4.
Rexrode's going to order a jersey.
I mean, I already was absolutely this is the best receiver, period. He's Amon-Ra St. Brown part 2. I know that's way too much to put on someone, but you tell me that, and I'm even more bullish about
it. Here's the thing, Rexrode, you and he are sharing a brain, right? Because he said, who's the one receiver that you feel your game is most like? And he said, Amon-Ra St. Brown. And he said they've talked, obviously USC brothers.
Right,
so,
right.
He said they talked. So, look at that. Your favorite receiver and you guys are thinking alike.
I mean, seriously, if he's 85% of what Amon-Ra is, that's absolutely worth the 4th pick. I mean, and I understand, there's a lot of people who would argue against that and even say he's not the best receiver. I just think that you see with St. Brown, people think slot receiver and they want to put people in boxes, but anytime the Lions need a play, that guy makes it, right? And I'm not saying Mekhi is that guy, but you can be the dominant offensive player on a team as a slot receiver if you're that good.
Yeah, and you look at the offense, right? Erhard Parkins, I've written about it. We've talked about it extensively. Every part of it is the slot is a huge part of it, right? And you look at going back to Troy Brown, Deion Branch, Wes Welker, and we could go on and on. Danny Amendola, Julian Edelman. It just continues to be one of the big parts of the offense. Even looking at with Daboll and the Giants, the last couple of years. I mean, Wandale Robinson was getting 140 or so targets, right? So it's an area that they look to utilize.
Well, TD, I know you're really busy this week. Appreciate so much you taking some time to be with us. Great stuff as always, man. And looking forward to talking to you next week. Have a great weekend.
All right, for sure. You too. Take it easy, fellas.
Absolutely. Teron Davenport with us every Friday morning at 8 o'clock here on the program. Fueled by Parman Energy. Visit parmanenergy.com, your one-stop petroleum solution. And TD's reports from the NFL Combine brought to you by Chicago's home for chicken and waffles in East Nashville. We'll react to what TD had to say there. Take your thoughts on the Titans at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Catch Derek Mason with 102.5 The Game live at Music City Indian Motorcycles, located at 1003 8th Avenue South in Nashville, tomorrow from noon to 2. Nash and the Preds Energy team will be there as well. And you have a chance to enter to win Preds tickets, your chance to win a custom Predators Indian motorcycle as well, signed by the whole team from Law Tigers and Music City Indian. Taking more of your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Appreciate TD for being with us in the last segment there. I mean, I can feel the excitement building from Joe Rexrode when it comes to Makai Lemon. Everything TD said there, he started just raving about Makai Lemon, and I could see Rexrode just smiling. He's ready to go. That's who he wants at number 4.
Obviously, well, not necessarily saying that, but if they take a receiver, I think he's the one to take at that spot. Again, maybe at some point, a couple years down the road, Carnell Tate's going to be just a great outside receiver in the NFL, and that'll look silly. And I know you don't want to put too much. I don't want to put too much. For the most part, these interviews with reporters are pretty mundane and boring. They don't mean much. To me, they mean something if they're extremely good or extremely bad. If they're extremely bad, it's like, man, this should be something that's pretty easy to handle at this point by now, especially with a bunch of these guys coming in like 26 years old. And it's like, what does that say, about someone and other human interactions, right? But or the flip side, if someone's just like, wow, like just a commanding presence, I mean, that can be something that translates to a locker room too. Like, okay, this is like someone with off the charts intangibles. Again, that's what Amon-Ra St. Brown is. He came out and he went in the 4th round, and whatever. You got like the tattoo, how many guys went before him, and obviously that's an outlier for someone to go there and be as good as he is. It's just like, it's such an easy comparison beyond USC. Like, to me, they move in a similar way. They have a similar toughness that kind of belies their physical stature. And I hear TD saying this kid like owned the room, and it's like, man, that's the kind of personalities you want in your locker room. It's not just the player and the production. You want type A personalities and dogs in your locker room. So, yeah, you're right. I'm talking myself into it. Makai Lemon at 4. Here we go.
That's, hey, knock yourself out, man. Yeah, I think in this show, we've talked ourselves into Makai Lemon, Sonny Styles, Jeremiah Love, and Caleb Downs. So we can just keep going. I mean, there's a lot of options the Titans are going to have there that I think I'd be happy with.
Don't forget tackle.
Yeah, get tackle in there too. Get a couple offensive tackles ready to go. I mean, Rexrode, they need to trade down, pick up some more picks so they can get some of these guys. You get Makai Lemon at like 9, I'd feel pretty good about that. Trade on down.
Well, Joey from Gallen's like, I don't see why they would even draft it for. Just trade back. It's like, okay, but who? You have to have a partner. You can't just be, hey, guys, we're going to forfeit, and we're going to move down to 11 and pick up another pick. Everybody good with that? Yeah. Someone's got to have to move up to 4 to pick someone. Who is it? And maybe, look, maybe it's someone, oh, my God, Caleb Downs available. Oh, my God, Jeremiah Love's available. Oh, my God, David Bell, whatever. Like, it is possible. Usually you think about being able to trade out of spots. You think about it in terms of quarterbacks, because that's where teams really get desperate and willing to give up capital if they have their guy at that position. But there are enough players in this draft that it's possible. And I don't hate that at all if they have that opportunity.
Yeah, I would be all for it. I have my doubts that it's going to play out that way based on what the quarterback part of this draft appears to look like, right? Like if Mendoza goes number 1, Joe, I'm still not going to take it off the table that the Jets could just surprise everyone and take Ty Simpson at number 2 because it's the Jets and that just seems like something that they would do. But even if that doesn't happen, like, is Arizona taking Ty Simpson? Maybe, but I doubt it. Is anybody trading up for a quarterback at that point? Probably not. So if it's not going to be the quarterback, I have my doubts that you're going to be able to pull off a trade at number 4.
Yeah, it's just I do think the two guys who like Love and Downs are, I think, good enough and intriguing enough overall that I could see it. Like I could see someone being, you know what? Okay, who drafts 5th? Who drafts right after the Titans?
That would be the New York Giants.
So if it's like, if you covet one of those guys and that guy's available, and you think the Giants, you got intel that the Giants are definitely going to take, Downs at 5. We got to have them, right? I mean, that's the hope. But again, you could also argue, no, you'd rather just pick one of the very limited number of great players in this draft at 4.
Yeah. I mean, the interesting question to me here is, PK brought this up the other day. What do you do if Reese is there? Like if Arvell Reese is there at number 4, let's say it plays out the way that Kuiper says it would, and Bailey's off the board. So Bailey ends up going to like the Jets or whoever. Let's say it goes Mendoza 1 to the Raiders, Bailey goes to the Jets at number 2, and the Cardinals take an offensive tackle. Well, there you are at number 4. If you're the Titans, you got all the receiving options, but you also have Arvell Reese there, who, I mean, plenty of people have going number 2 to the Jets. That may be the way it plays out. Doesn't have a lot of experience rushing the passer, but some people have made like a Micah Parsons comparison to him. Like, Kuharski has brought up, how concerning would it be if you're the Titans to have Oladejo learning the position and then Reese learning the position at the same time? Like, would that be something that's just really concerning to you if you're a member of that Titans front office to have 2 guys like that? Does Reese's traits and what he projects that he could be outweigh all that if you're the Titans? That to me is really interesting if he ends up there at number 4.
Yeah, I'd probably jump all over it. And the thing is, it's a fair point by Garcia, but also it's now not as concerning because they got Jermaine Johnson, right?
Yeah.
They have a guy they know who can play. And I think I understand the whole thing that Reese has not played where he will play in the NFL, but that's also why a guy like that, you feel pretty good about this particular head coach and coaching staff being able to maximize that player, right? Just based on the track record, mostly as a D coordinator, but even as a head coach with great defense with the Jets. So this is where when you're splitting hairs and you're sitting there, okay, in your scenario, it's like, well, you got Reese again. Just talked about Sonny Styles. I'm putting that. I think that's in the orbit too somewhere. In that situation, you would have Love available. In that situation, you'd have all, like you said, all those receivers. And this is where sometimes like the interviews and stuff can just push someone ahead. It's like, oh, that guy's got to be an organization. Talk about just an absolutely together person who is mature, is going to be a pro, and is going to bring an edge and a leadership to the locker room that matters. I mean, you can't talk about culture as much as these people do and then not make decisions that are based on it. As much as I think that word is overused and cliche and all that stuff, I mean, clearly the makeup of a locker room, it represents a decent amount of like what a team can do, and it's not just a collection of talent. So this is where the interviews and the things that are going on behind closed doors this week can really elevate or move down. I'm sorry, like Shedeur Sanders was like a second-round quarterback talent, and those interviews crushed him last year. And Levis hurt him. Some people didn't like Levis, and he was, most people thought, a first-round talent coming out, right? Like we've seen too many examples of guys helped and hurt by these things to not think they matter.
Send our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Welcome in Jimbo to the program. Jimbo, good morning. Thank you for calling in.
Good morning, guys. Love your show.
Thank you.
Hey, I've got a question about basically the second round. I mean, you were discussing that earlier today. So let's say the Titans take Sonny Styles at 4. What, after the 3 main edge rushers we've talked about for weeks, what's the depth at that position from the second round on? And also the same question for the wide receivers. I mean, what would the Titans be looking at in the second round if they do go for a Sonny Styles in the first? Could they actually, how is the depth at the wide receivers and the edges after the main 2 or 3 guys? Thanks.
Yeah. Great question. Thanks for calling, Jimbo. I mean, I would say this. I like the depth at wide receiver. I did think about this yesterday, Joe, like a specific name that if it played, let's say the Titans went whether it's Sonny Styles at 4, Jeremiah Love, whatever it is, and they wanted, edge rushers where they fell in the second round. What do you think of R. Mason Thomas at the NFL level out of Oklahoma?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good name. The kid whose name is eluding me from Alabama is, and again, it's another one of those, like, maybe you wanted to notice him a little more, and I'm trying to quickly find Brugler's top 100. But yeah, no, I think the overall big picture answer to that is I think that receiver, we've talked about this, but I think receiver is a little richer.
Yeah.
In terms of once you get through the top, if you want to get into, even like late first, possibly you have like Denzel Boston, you have Omar Cooper. You get into, again, that same area, you have Cassius Howell as an edge from Texas A&M. You mentioned R. Mason Thomas. He's only 6'1", so he's another one of those like kind of tweener physically, 6'1", 249. Does that fit as well in this defense? I don't know. You have TJ Parker, who more physically fits the bill. Now you're getting into second. I'll tell you a guy I like who I think is a second-round pick at edge, Zion Young from Missouri.
Yep.
I really like him, and I think he's more the physical 6'5", 255. I think he might be a little bit more of a fit. You get into, you got Jeremy Bernard from Alabama. We've talked a lot about Brazel. I mean, there's a lot of guys. Malachi Fields from Notre Dame is a good player. Derek Moore, edge from Michigan, is a good player. Chris Bell from Louisville, we've talked about him some. I think receiver is richer, but again, I'm looking at the top 100 list for Brugler. At 57, Gabe Jacast from Illinois is an edge who's out there. Antonio Williams from Clemson at receiver. Ted Hurst from Georgia State is a receiver. Another Indiana guy. Are these Indiana guys getting overvalued? Eli Surratt is another guy who was a really good player for them. Karon Crawford from Auburn at the edge. So I think in both positions, like if whatever you don't do, you're going to have really good options if you're going to go next pick with that spot.
We got weekend winners coming up next. Take your thoughts at 615-737-1025. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game.
It's time to pick some winners. We hope. Robby and Rexrode have weekend winners for you. Now
on ESPN
102.5 The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It is time for weekend winners here on the program. We are only 1 week into the competition. There's already been some separation in the competition. Let's go to the overall standings. After 1 week, Robby Stanley, Ian Safar, both 5-1 last week, 1-0 in our locks, good for 6 points overall. Rexrode, I think you would describe it as a tough start. 1-5 for Rexrode, 0-1 in his locks, good for 1 point. So 1 weekend, Rexrode is 5 points behind, both Ian and myself. Joe, your thoughts?
Just absolute trash. Just absolute trash. Long way to go, but yeah, I'm supposed to know something about college basketball. Apparently, I know nothing. I got more college basketball picks this week, though.
You got every
You'll be happy to know.
Available to you. You know, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, but I mean, like I should be able to figure this stuff out.
I got a college basketball pick this week that you're gonna love. I can't wait to get to it.
Okay,
cannot wait.
How about Michigan State last night, though? Real quick,
yeah, Sparty,
a big win.
That was a good win
on the road at Purdue.
By the way, I don't know if anybody's watched Top 10 ESPN play. I would hope that one or two of those Cohen card dunks was number one. I mean, my God.
I think the what did he do? Like back to the basket, spin move, dunk.
Well, he dunked on in the face of a 7-2 dude.
I think one of them was number 2.
Okay.
Probably soccer play number one. Anytime they kick one in the net, soccer, it's number one on SportsCenter.
That's a good point. Or a decent diving catch in spring training.
Yeah.
Or combine jump. Hey, maybe we got the Sunny a vertical number one.
Sunny Styles, number one, baby. We begin with Vanderbilt and Kentucky tomorrow. Big matchup. We're going to go straight up in that one. We had the line not yet visible, but we're going straight up. We think that's a close enough one to go straight up. I'm going to start. Give me Kentucky. I will go Kentucky. Kentucky's Jekyll and Hyde. You can't really figure them out. I know Vanderbilt totally embarrassed Kentucky last time. I think that will be on the mind of the Wildcats, and I think Kentucky gets a big win for them tomorrow. Ian, Kentucky and Vanderbilt coming up.
Yeah, tough one here. I'm going to take Vandy just for pure rooting interests.
There you go.
Yeah, you can do that. You can do that kind of stuff when you start out 5-1 with your lock.
Oh, well, we've learned.
Meanwhile, I'm desperate.
The start does not matter.
That is true. We do have a long way to go.
Yeah, a long way to go. I think I started out, I don't know, 2 weeks in a row and pigskin pick them, and look what it
was. He was like 11-1 through 2 weeks last
so
year.
it's like, whatever.
That's a good point. There is hope for me. But, I'm gonna go Vandy too. I totally hear what Robby's saying, but I just think now that they've got Miles in there, I just think they're a better team, and I think they're a better team than Kentucky. I think they match up well with Kentucky, and I agree that team's gonna be fired up. But I think Vanderbilt wins a close game.
The line we have created for Tennessee and Alabama, this is straight from the mind of Joe Rexrode, and I concurred. Vols -2.5 at home against the Tide. Ian, who we got between the Vols and Alabama?
I think I'm going to take Bama.
Here we go. Going with Bama.
Yeah, sometimes I worry about Tennessee's scoring droughts. And against a team like Alabama, who can really put some points up, even though it is in Knoxville, I'm going to take Bama to cover.
Rexrode, who we got between Tennessee and Alabama?
Yeah, I've just got to go with, so far it's early, but Rick Barnes seems to his teams don't like what Mark Pope's teams do. It bothers them. Meanwhile, they just match up and they guard Alabama the way Alabama likes to play really well, even with this team. So I've got to go with the Vols, given those points at home.
I'll go the Vols as well. I think Tennessee loses the game earlier this week. I think that sharpens the focus even more. So I'll go Tennessee -2.5 in this game. Preds and Stars coming up on the road for Nashville tomorrow. Obviously, a very tough game. Stars favored by 1.5 in this one. Rexrode, who you got? Stars, a 1.5 goal favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Stars. I'll take Stars late empty netter 4-2.
I'm going to go Stars as well. I don't think it's a great matchup for the Predators, and we'll see. I would imagine Saros will be in net. He did not play last night. My guess is he plays tomorrow, but I'll go Stars minus the 1.5. Ian, who we got, Stars or Preds?
Man, I want to take the Preds, but I don't know. My heart's telling me Preds. My mind's telling me Stars. So, I'll go Dallas.
A clean sweep of the stars. No faith. Andrew Burnett's going to use this today at practice.
WHTR.
Yeah, this audio clip will be in the locker room later today. We move to the individual portion of the program. I'll start with my groundbreaking college basketball pick that I'm excited to get to. Give me Mount St. Mary's plus 2.5 against Sacred Heart tonight. A big matchup coming up tonight. I know nothing about either team, but I saw the matchup, and I said I'm going with Mount St. Mary's plus 2.5 against Sacred Heart. Joe, your thoughts?
The first NCAA tournament game I ever covered was Mount St. Mary's against Michigan State. It was a 16-1 game. Did not go well for Mount St. Mary's.
Tonight
but they had a very nice coach. I forget his name. He was a legend. There's my thoughts. I love your pick.
Thank you. Mount St. Mary's plus 2.5 against Sacred Heart. Ian, your first individual selection.
Okay, my first individual selection. I'm going to get my lock out of the way here. The Avs, coming off a loss last night to Minnesota, play Chicago on Saturday. Give me the Avs the minus 1.5 versus Chicago.
There you go. Locking down on the Avs minus 1.5 coming up Saturday against Chicago. Rexrode, your first individual selection.
This one I'm a little skittish on. Virginia at Duke. It's basically for the ACC championship. Duke is minus 9.5. It's a big number. I think it's going to be a good game, but I think that they'll stretch it out at the end with free throws, and I will take the Blue Devils to win that game by about 11.
On Duke minus the 9.5 against Virginia. Ian, so far, your second individual selection.
Okay, my college basketball pick this week. Give me Arizona minus 8.5 to cover at home versus Kansas.
Minus 8.5 against Kansas. A very good basketball contract.
Yeah, it's a bit
in the Big 12.
Yeah, it's, I don't know, kind of a big number. Arizona is at home. Kansas has been playing better. That Peterson thing is strange. But give me Arizona minus 8.5.
Give me the Buffalo Sabres plus 1.5 on the road against the Panthers and lock it down. They are Buffalo. Let me tell you, Buffalo's good. Buffalo's underrated. Sabres are going to win that game. I'll go win outright, but they're definitely going to cover the plus 1.5. I think they're going to win by like 2 goals. Give me the Sabres plus the 1.5. Rexrode, your second individual selection.
Exactly what Ian had there. Kansas at Arizona. I think Arizona at home is fired up to play better, get back to its number 1 overall seed type form. So give me Arizona minus 8.5.
And Joe, close us out with your final individual selection.
And I'm going to keep riding college basketball. And I guess if it continues to go poorly, I'll have to pivot. But Villanova at St. John's. St. John's missed its last 24 shots against UConn. Absolutely humiliating blowout. And we know Pitino and Hurley don't love each other. Pitino talked to reporters for about a minute and stormed off. And his team's at home against Villanova, minus 5.5. St. John's is going to come out absolutely pissed off and blow Villanova out. Give me St. John's. Make it my lock.
Guarantee. Locking down, minus 5.5 against Villanova for St. John's. Ian, your final individual selection.
Okay, baby. I'm going back to the well. Nashville SC.
There we go.
On the road at Dallas. Dub. Win. At Dallas. Nashville SC.
He got off the snide last week. I don't know that he got a Nashville SC pick right all of last year.
Now look at me.
Now look at him. It's a new season. He got one right last week. He's feeling it. Nashville SC gets the win against Dallas.
Glutton for punishment, as they say.
That's right. I love it. That's good stuff there. His record for Nashville SC this year in this competition, Joe, is going to be electric. He's going to have like a 90% winning percentage.
I hope not.
A regression to the mean. Give me Joe's former team, the Detroit Pistons, minus 6 tonight against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cade Cunningham, he might win MVP. He's a heck of a player. Give me the Pistons minus the 6 against the Cleveland Cavaliers.
That's a big-time game, man. Big-time game. James Harden, some people think the Cavs are the favorite now. I'm going to tell you, like, if you James Harden is your reasoning for that, just understand regular season and playoffs are not the same.
Have you watched how that story has played out over the entirety of his career to this point?
Yeah.
Not well.
No. But they look good. Should be a great game.
We'll see how it goes. We got one more segment coming up next. Take your thoughts, 615-737-1025. Everything on the table. Preds in action this weekend, the NFL Combine. Take your thoughts on the Tavondre Sweat trade. All of it coming up next. Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game. Final segment of the day, Robby and Rexrode, 1025 The Game, presented by Green Ventures Landscaping. Property managers, if you manage it, they maintain it. Visit greenventureslandscaping.com. Joe, Ian just made us aware of a quote from Diego Pavia going around at the NFL Combine. Quote, Coach Lee always pressed that your frontal lobe isn't fully developed till you're 25. And I just turned 24. So I've got like 365 days to go. This was the quote from Diego Pavia about his maturity level.
I like it. Pavia's getting medical on us now. You just never know with that guy. I need to actually that would have been almost worth the not at all, but like if going to the Combine this year, that would have at least been 15 fun minutes to look forward to. Pavia's, I'm gonna have to watch the whole video of that. I imagine it's gonna end up being a banger.
You should have gone. You could have got in the same day Pavia and Mekhi Lemon. Just think about what this Friday could have looked like for you.
Dang, man.
Anti-Simpson.
Never mind.
Yeah.
Anti-Simpson.
Yeah.
Never mind the fact you have a radio show to do while all this is going on. It's irrelevant. But you could have gotten it.
That's true. I don't remember. I probably skipped out some on this, right? When I had to go talk to somebody, or did I?
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, can you imagine Pavia throwing him a Mekhi Lemon? My goodness, how many Lombardis are we talking right now?
Well,
we're talking a lot of Lombardis.
Theoretically, that's going to be possible. Pavia is not going in the first round. Lemon is. So you could get that combo if you really want to, if you're the Titans.
That's right. That is absolutely right. I've been going back and forth. I don't know if people are trolling me. As everybody knows, I'm very easily trolled, and so like Jared got me on the stupid belittling comment about the women's hockey team. He was just messing with me. So good job, Jared. I don't know if I'm getting trolled on the roof thing, but like if any of you are legitimately arguing like in favor of like, oh, the owner shouldn't spend this money. The Indianapolis Colts average 3 games a year with the roof open. Here in this city, we would average 4 or 5 games a year. How is that not worth 200, 300 million of your owner's money over years? Are you kidding me? Are you Burke Nihill's burner? I mean, what a bunch of crap. Why does anyone ever like argue in favor of the billionaire who's getting rich beyond imagination owning an NFL team, not spending money to make things better for all of us who have to pay for things? How?
That's be nice and air
conditioned. If you're trolling me, good job. Good trolling. Yeah, well, that's great.
Air conditioned, heat, be fun.
Well, look, I'm all for seriously like the September, early September game where it's 98 outside. Great. It's great to have the roof. Keep it on. But like later September, all of October, a lot of November, it would be so great to be able to have outdoor football. And obviously it would be great to have the trays so that the players should play on grass. But hey, let's cheap out on that too.
No, I like the turf. I'm glad they got the turf coming in there. I'm glad they got the roof. I think it's going to be good.
So you're just trolling me too. I know it's very easy.
I'd never do something like that. Would never do it.
Just yeah. So if that's what you're doing, people, good job. If you're serious, holy crap.
I wonder, does Amy Adams-Strunk take a look at the NFLPA report cards, which again have the home game field rated as an F- for the Tennessee Titans? And does she look around and say, hey, we got to find a way to get some grass in there. They don't like the field. Got to get some grass in there.
No, she'll do the cheap option, but she should. It is wild to me. I mean, F-, because like they do have, they have the state of the art in turf, and I've been on it, and it's like if anybody's ever walked on like the old AstroTurf, what would those get now? Like that's just like, that's like
cement,
cruel and unusual punishment.
Yeah.
You think about like the guys who blew their knees out on the little, like the dividing little. It's just cement. Look, this turf they continue to advance it. It's good. There's a softness, there's a give. But if you're any of these players, listen to any of them talk. It's like there is such a huge difference, even in the week. Forget getting injured, just even in the week after playing on that, of how you feel, just your joints, like all of it is so different. Grass versus even this state of the art turf.
I smoke weed constantly.
There we go. Get grass, gas, and ass. Paul Kaharski.
Well, that one will be clipped for sure. Definitely put that one in the file. By the way, if you're wondering, team ownership for the Titans in the report card from the NFLPA got a C, which is not that bad. I'm looking. We talked about Cincinnati's earlier, like Tampa Bay's ownership got a D. I mean, there's some poor grades along here at team ownership for the Pittsburgh Steelers, a D-, maybe the most surprising result of the entire NFLPA poll, Joe.
Yeah, that really is.
I was hearing somebody talk. I don't know if this. Sorry to cut you off there, Joe. Real quick as we wrap up, but that Tomlin was perhaps, I don't know, covering up for some of the ownership issues / lack of funding there over the past little bit. I've heard people speculate, wonder how this might change.
Yeah, it's obviously and rightfully so. Everyone looks at the Rooney family as the standard, right? Of ownership, probably really ownership in sports. But the rest of us don't work for them. And if there are, we always think of the Bengals as super cheap. But if they are cheaping out, then again, and I would expect that family, based on how they've done things, to actually take this seriously and work to improve things. That is the point of these report cards. It's not, so Woody Johnson can be all embarrassed, but that's fun too, because he should be.
Joe, as far as I could tell, I mean, this is the same time we were in the show yesterday when Tavondre Sweat got traded. As far as I could tell, there's no moves going on right now, but I guess keep your eyes peeled over the next couple of minutes here.
We just have Pavia's brain analysis as the show ends.
That's how we close things out today. Hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll be back coming up on Monday morning. Next Man Up with Jake Lyman coming up next. You're listening to 102.5 The Game.